Good morning, Detroit. Listen, we are so excited. My name is Whitney Clark, and you are watching the Dads of Detroit podcast, new podcast series that we are launching to bring more community to the fathers here in Metro Detroit, specifically Detroit proper. Now, there are a number of things going on. Today is September 2nd, 2025. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are watching the channel, or if this is the type of content that you think you're going to want to watch, go ahead and like and share and subscribe now. I was listening to a video a few moments ago, and it really just pointed out the fact that we live in a new society. We live in a new age where you won't see people necessarily come online and ask you outright for money. In reality, we can build community just with likes, shares, subscribes, follows. So if you would, please send this to a father you know, send this to a brother you know, send this to a member of the community that you know. We're going to have a great time together. But before we jump into the podcast, I've got a great episode planned for you today. We're going to just talk about really how we can bring back our community in a real way. I believe the path back to restoring our community is through fatherhood and through men making the decision to be husbands, and that is the argument that I'm making today on our podcast. I have some statistics and some information I want to share with you as we encourage each other and build this community of fathers. But before we get into that, this is the first city council formal session after the summer break here in the city of Detroit, and they are currently doing public comments. And so I want to interrupt our live broadcast for just a moment so that we can go into the public comments. I really, really enjoy, and I encourage you to do so either on your own or with this podcast. But if you don't live in the city of Detroit, I definitely encourage you to just do a do a Google search of your city council, et cetera, et cetera. Figure out when their formal meetings are. They should have one probably at least once a week. They'll have public comments. And the public comments, for me, have become the best way to see what's really going on in the community, like what the streets are really talking about, because for the most part, you'll hear a pretty wide variety. Either from the public comments, people will be alluding to what is going to be in the agenda, and then sometimes people will kind of go back and forth about what's forthcoming in the agenda, and that also kind of tells you about what's going on in the city. So I definitely enjoy. I live close to the downtown building, and so I like to go whenever I'm available, free to go. But we got the little ones. I'm doubling on daddy duty as we record today, so we're going to go ahead and listen to the audio of the public comments. Detroit City Council, right here, Detroit, Michigan. Let's listen in.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wells. I mean, Ms. Kindness. Connor Roth,
Yep, hello.
come on.
City councilors, or more specifically, Ms. Callaway, we are still waiting for a response about the body cam ordinance that was passed by the Coalition for Police Transparency and Accountability. We want this unaltered and unchanged and not watered down, or it be changed where it protects the police unions too, and that it be made readily available to the public. Stop stalling this, and we need real answers about this. We are going to keep showing up week after week until real progress is made. I rest my time.
All right, thank you. Member Calloway? Yes, Attorney Anderson. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, Graham Anderson, Law Department. The current ordinance draft is sitting at Corporation Counsel's desk. We are hopeful to have that move forward with his signature this week, and we'll have it appeared on, I think it's a public health and safety's agenda as soon as possible. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
So some comment there about body camera footage for police officers, how quickly it comes out. That's something that people have been concerned about here in the city of Detroit, because they don't feel as though the powers that be protect the citizens, because when citizens have encounters with the police, they feel as though they should be able to have the footage come out quicker so that we can have a better opportunity to assess what the encounter itself was, because obviously in these situations maybe there is someone is harmed, or maybe property is lost or damaged, or maybe a number of different things happen when people have encounters with the police. Heaven forbid someone lose their life. That body cam footage then becomes very, very vital, and that's why people are pushing for ordinances to ensure that those come out within a matter of hours, a matter of I think he said 48
Y'all
hours.
was bold enough to vote for me. So I'm going to be bold, confident, and on fire, exposing this evil corruption that's been going on for ages. I will continue to fight for myself, children, the disabled, elderly, and for what's right.
This young lady comes in pretty much every week, and she talks about the fact that she's accusing the city government, if you will, of voting on her behalf absentee in an election. Oh wait, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Hello, through the chair. It's very unfortunate that this woman was speaking about this apartment building. Are the citizens of Detroit aware that there's ex-offenders on the Detroit Police Department? And how is that
okay.
possible? Killers, rapists, all type of sick, sadistic persons, people, period. The issue, when I've been complaining about police officers being in these shelters, guess what? They coming home from prison. They are getting new identities. We only have one fingerprint. Their pictures are in the site when they were locked up in prison. The same officers that went across the stage to receive their badges. This is not acceptable. This is how far have this been going on? They probably moved up in promotions, all type of promotions of illegal ex-offenders on the Detroit Police Department.
This young lady comes into city council, I think, pretty much every week now, and typically she alleges that police officers actually take up beds in some of the homeless shelters here in the city. This week, she's alleging, as you may have heard a moment ago, that there are actually people who used to be incarcerated, people who are potentially convicted criminals who are now working for the Detroit Police Department under new identities.
Ex-dope dealers, all type of sick, sadistic
All alleged, obviously.
Detroit Police Department. And what you gonna do about it? You gonna continue to say, oh, this is not going on? No, Miss Williams, no. If you all, like I said, do not do your job, I've been complaining about this, and it's a cover-up. You better believe it. I keep telling you all, there is.
Alrighty, we're gonna continue to listen into these things. And let me tell you, this is the way you figure out what's going on in your city, the things that are important, the things that are getting ready to take place in your city. I think listening to public comment is pretty much the way to get all of it in one take. And I want to ask you personally, why don't you know about what's going on in your city? Thank you guys so much for watching our Dads of Detroit podcast. Again, we're jumping in for just a moment to listen to the public comments. This is the first formal session after the summer break here. Today's date is September the 2nd, 2025, and we're listening to the public comments because, again, as we've established, that is one of the best ways to figure out what's going on in the city. We're listening into another public comment right now.
The deployment of National Guard troops, federalized National Guard troops, and possibly Marines into the city of Chicago. We feel very strongly that the city council should take a position on this issue. We know that it would not help the conditions in the city of Detroit with the deployment of federalized National Guards in this city. Fortunately, I'm old enough to remember late July of 1967, when thousands upon thousands of National Guard troops were deployed to the city of Detroit. Many people were killed, shot, children were killed by the National Guard, and nothing was done about it. We condemn the praising of Trumpist fascism, claiming that it has contributed to the reduction of crime in the city of Detroit. It reminds me of the stories about Benito Mussolini, the first fascist in the 20th century, when they said that when Mussolini was in power, the trains ran on time. That's a lie. We know what fascism led to in the 1930s and 1940s. Tens of millions of people were killed during that time period. There was mass destruction throughout Europe, North Africa, Asia. It led to the first and only.
All right, people are taking a very definitive stance against what they believe is about to take place. I think maybe today we'll have to get in and see. The National Guard, I believe, is said to be arriving in Chicago this week. Today, again, is September the 2nd, and we're listening to public comments here in the city of Detroit. Public commenters are basically saying we could be next. Take a stance. What is your say on this? How can we prepare ourselves for what may be coming our way next?
Kaylin Bowles Dukes. I am the Community Advocacy Director for American Heart Association and the lead for the advocate pillar for the collaboration.
Alrighty, we won't take up much more of your time on that. I just wanted to. That's a different segment that we're doing. Whenever we have. That's a different segment that we'll be doing, a different podcast series. You good? Okay. Close that door for me if you're good, okay? Close the door. Alrighty. Let's jump back into our podcast for today. You're watching the very first episode of our new podcast series, Dads of Detroit. I'm so excited about this community that we're building centered around fatherhood. I want to talk to you about a couple of things, but again, let me welcome you and tell you that we are having some great conversations around fatherhood, and I want to talk to you about how we can save the city, right? And there's a story, there are a number of different things that are taking place, both maybe individually and collectively. Maybe you don't live in Detroit, maybe you just live in a city where you can see the decline of the quality of life, quite frankly, for all of us. And I believe, in the theory that I will be presenting in today's podcast, is that we as men need to make a commitment. And I want to go a little bit further. We as Black men need to make the commitment to be fathers, active, visible, engaged fathers and husbands. Now, let me tell you why I say Black. Now, many times people will say Black and then they'll and they'll make it a negative thing. I'll spin it in a positive way. I have this firm belief that Black people make things cool in this country. Black people make things culturally acceptable, right? Sometimes to a negative degree, but sometimes to a positive degree, right? We definitely are. We definitely kind of have, an autonomy over what culture should be. Now, sometimes it's appropriated, sometimes it's hijacked, but originally it's taken from what we find as cool or what we find as fashionable, right? And so I believe that if we as Black men take a stance and decide to be husbands and active, engaged fathers, I believe that our culture will change. Everybody will think it's cool, right? And so that is why I'm making this pitch and making this effort and, quite frankly, starting this podcast series to build a community where Black fathers have an opportunity to engage and learn from one another and talk about the importance of our existence. We've also got to do it so that society knows that we exist. I think that is so important. I think representation matters. If you watch the channel, if you're a personal friend of mine, or if you know me from social media, you see that I try to be visible with family and with fatherhood, because that type of representation is missing in our society. It's not glamorized. It's not publicized. And so now we have to use whatever influence that we have to speak truth to that element of our existence. And so that's why we're doing this here. I want to know, from your perspective, how we can begin to restore our community. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things. I think this microphone is like slowly moving. That's why I keep adjusting it, but we'll get it right at some point in Jesus' name. All right, good. Are we good? Are we set? All right. Now let me hit you with this. Studies show that when the father is in the picture, kids are 33% less likely to repeat a grade. and 43% more likely to earn A's in school. That's not just a statistic. That's a blueprint for building a strong future. We are statistically the common denominator in the success of our community and the success of our children. And as we continue to step forward, and as we continue to be visible and engaged, our community it's safer. You know what I mean? Like, you don't lose weight when you run, like that moment, right? It kind of happens, I guess, when you're sleeping, right? It doesn't happen instantly. But as we step forward as fathers, our community just becomes safer, and primarily the lives of our children are impacted in a positive way. And let me connect the dots for you here. What you see happening in society is connected to the lack of fatherhood. Listen, let's make no mistake about it. And I'm addressing the fatherhood epidemic, pandemic problem because I believe in my theory that it is the one problem that we can solve that will also simultaneously solve so many other problems in our lives. If we can fix the fatherhood or the fatherless problem that we have in society, then we can fix the crime, then we can fix the education, then we can fix the infrastructure, then we can fix a number of different things. But let's take this angle. Let's take the angle and the idea that it's fun and that it is something that we can and should be doing. And when we explore life as a father, it engages and it causes us to grow in areas that we need. We need our children. We need our children. Think about that. Think about that. We need our children. Primarily, I can speak, poignantly. We need toddlers, children, infants as men so that we can practice being gentle, so that we can practice being patient, because these are characteristics, attributes, and skill sets that we need in life. You can't be rugged, rough around the edges, dumb and loud all the time. Now, quite frankly, if you know me, you know that's my preferred mode, right? So don't get me wrong when I say that. But my point is this. I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that we can do so much greater here in society when we decide to be dads. I think we should. Now, I got the wrong slide up there. I'm still talking about the feds coming because we were listening to public comments. But I want to check in with the dads of Detroit. Let me know how your Labor Day weekend is. I don't want to be too loud. Let me know how your Labor Day weekend was. I hope you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. We're checking in with the dads. Dads not only in Detroit, but we are the dads of Detroit. This is our podcast. This is our space. We're going to be talking about dads, the importance of dads. We're going to be talking about our meetup, our weekly meetup that we're doing this week. So stay tuned for our weekly meetup. Again, my name is Whitney Clark. We're filming right here live in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. New podcast series, Dads of Detroit. I want to give you a little bit more information, okay? Here's the flip side. We were talking a few moments ago about what being a dad can do as far as the academic success of your children. Let's look on the other side, though. The U.S. Census Bureau says that about 18.4 million children, almost 1 in 4 children in this country are growing up without a father at their home, okay? And when that happens, the risks go up. Higher poverty, more trouble in school, and more behavioral issues, as one could imagine, right? Let's be real. Fathers are not optional. They're not optional. Husbands are not outdated. They are the backbone to stability, right? And that goes against what we've been hearing in society. And I think as we realize that we're in the information stage, we kind of begin to see that this whole idea, this whole premise of, man is the man provides stability. I can provide stability. I've come to the place in society, like I've come to the conclusion that men aren't to blame, women aren't to blame. We have been propagated into thinking that we don't need each other. but now we have the opportunity. We have the hindsight, which we already know is 2020. We have the information. We can see. We can see and research and psychoanalyze, and we can look at data and look at it and chop it and look at it from this lens and this and that lens, and now we can understand and we see that we have been told not to be together. We have been told in our music, in our movies, in our education, in our society, not to depend on each other. But I can tell you right now, as it pertains to the adult development as a man, as you continue to develop as a man and continue to expand what you are good at and expand your skill set, you need your children. Because having your children around and the patience that it takes in order to rear children sharpens a skill set inside of you that you need as well. And so we're talking again, Dads of Detroit. Check in with me. Let us know how you're doing. I'm checking our comments to see how everybody's doing. We're not going to be together much longer, maybe 5 more minutes. We're just doing our first podcast talking about how much fun fatherhood is. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the real issue in my humble, honest opinion, right? I hate when people say honest. You want to always try to be honest so that you don't need to say honest. But anywho, see, everybody points the finger at crime, at poverty, at schools. But the real issue is right inside the household. You can't expect the streets to be safe if the homes are broken. You can't expect schools to win if parents aren't showing up. And we've got to get back, and I'm beginning to see with like media and propaganda, it's simply a matter of saying it over and over and over and over and over again. Because here's the reality, and we see it now. The reason that you think some of the crazy things that you think, like, boys can be girls. The reason that you think something like that is not because of any type of logic that you've come across. It's because it's been introduced as a theory, as an idea, associated with a disenfranchised minority group, so that it was attached to this idea of civil rights, therefore given a cause to fight for, repeated in the media. Now it's reality. So now we've got to undo that and say over and over and over and over and over and over again, we'll be husbands, we'll be wives, we'll be families, we'll raise our children together, we'll ensure that our sons and daughters get to see what it's like when husband and wives work together, because we realize and understand the importance of the unit. The family matters. The children have a more stable environment. The wife has a more stable environment. And the father, even as a protector, is protected when he has the security of the family. I'll tell you a quick little story, because I want to keep our podcast kind of short, because we know people are coming and going, working out. Maybe you're at the office. Maybe you're driving to work or to the grocery store. So I don't want to hold you too long, but I want to tell you a story. And I'm almost ashamed to tell it, and Tierney will see this and she'll laugh probably uncontrollably. But and maybe I don't want to tell my personal business. I'll just tell you this, that whenever I don't feel well, particularly on a cruise ship, and I'm experiencing what could be some motion sickness, some extreme motion sickness, accompanied with some foreign libations, if you will, she was my protector in that moment. When I was hallucinating and didn't know if I was coming or going, women can be protectors in that, in the proper context. And so I'm saying that to say we all win when we exist inside the unit of a family. And we've got to lead, and we've got to step forward, and just let's do it by being a father. Let's do it by engaging and being involved in the lives of our children. Let me know what you think, dads. We're getting ready to do our weekly meetup. Let me know in the comments if you want more information about our weekly meetup. We're going to be meeting up. It's going to be a weekly meetup. I think we're going to do it downtown Detroit. I believe it's the 7th. Yes, Sunday, the 7th at 7, we're going to have an event downtown, because we are building community that you can touch and that you can feel. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This is our first episode of Dads of Detroit, and we just really kind of touched the surface. We really kind of, this was really the tip of the iceberg, but we want to engage you and let you know what we're about, what we're trying to accomplish. I want to leave you with this, and I want to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Do you agree that fatherhood is the real missing piece in rebuilding Detroit? Let's get serious now. Let's talk, because we can talk about the country, we can talk about the state, we can talk about the county. Let's talk about what matters to us. We've got that right too. How can we rebuild our city? Do you think that fatherlessness is one of the real problems? What do you think the city rather should be doing to encourage stronger families? I want to know what you think about that in the comments. Okay? And for my fathers listening, what legacy are you building for your children? I'll leave you finally with this. We're over 25 minutes. My pastor in Baytown, I worked at a church in Baytown, Texas some years ago, and one of the things that this pastor would always say, Pastor Kevin would always say, that children learn three ways: by example, by example, and by example. What example are you showing to your children? What example do they see every day? Do they see you loving their mom? Do they see you working together? Do they see you having integrity? Do they see you as safety, security, and a balanced set of emotions? Do they see you as a hand up? Do they see you as mentorship? Do they see you as the philosophic leader of your family? I hope that this podcast will create the community that makes you feel more supported and uplifted in your journey to becoming a better, more involved husband and father. My name is Whitney Clark. I'll see you next time